a man would have friends, he must show himself to be friendly.
Mm.
And I do think friendships are very important. And once again, we can look at Jesus and the way in which he had friends, male and female.
Mm.
And I think that's one of the things that tells me that, how human Jesus was. That friendships are unique, I think, in the sense that you don't choose your father, you don't choose your children even. You do choose your wife or your husband, or choose to marry them. But other than that, uniquely you can choose your friends.
Yeah.
And Jesus was very close friends, for example, with John.
Yeah.
Now, what does that actually mean? I don't think it means that John was his favourite or that John was more loved. It just means that there was an affinity between them, which is so normal, which is so human, which is so natural. We all have people like that, don't we?
Yeah.
Who we get on with just easily. We just click with them. We just find them to be somebody that I can easily relate to and get close to. Now, as a minister, I think it's very good for us to have friends like that, both inside and outside the church,
Mm-hmm.
and we can talk about that in a bit more detail. But that does not mean to say that those people are our favourites.
Mm.
It means that actually there are other people who possibly we will spend more time with or be more careful with or be more loving with, just like Jesus was with Peter, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Peter wasn't as close in terms of friendship with Jesus, but he was certainly the one that Jesus chose to be the leader of the gang, and the one that Jesus, deliberately went out of his way to be reconciled with and to be loving to after Peter had failed so badly. So in many ways, Jesus showed more love to Peter than he did to John.
Yeah.
But there was a closeness between them, which was a friendship thing.
Yeah.
And I think that is totally legitimate and important, that we've got people that we feel like we can be ourselves with, that we can relax with, that we can trust.
Yes. Yes. So on the back of this, what would you say about can a minister have a close friend of opposite sex?
I would say he can have it. I'm only talking as a male. He can have female friends who are good friends. Close is a bit more difficult, and certainly if that person is married.
Yeah, or similar age, maybe, right?
Yeah, or no, actually, why not have a good friend who's older?
Yeah.
A female friend who's older. That's much safer.
Yes.
That's much easier.
Yes.
So, I've got all kinds of friends these days, or people who are on my list of friends, but I'm not up to date with them all. Because again, as we said in the very beginning, a friendship is a two-way thing. And so there are people that I would say that person was and is my friend, but they haven't been in touch with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm always the one who has to be in touch with them. So in a way, that isn't the way friendships work. Friendships have always got to be two-way, really, to be current. But if I saw those friends who haven't been in touch with me for a long time, again, we will be back again just like before. But in terms of friendships now. I've got a friend who is a lady. She is my age. There's no romance in it whatsoever. She's not a Christian. I have witnessed to her, but we are very good friends.
Yeah.
And I think that it's all to do with being holy, being wholesome, and I think we need to be reaching out and making friends with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of all ages and of all types of people as well,
Yes. Yeah.
male and female.
Yes, thank you for that. A question that, it is a personal question, but I think many ministers would relate to this. Is this one thing that I genuinely am praying that God helps me in dealing with in a lot of wisdom lately is the boundaries between being a good friend to someone who I'm also a pastor to. So how transparent and vulnerable can a pastor be to someone who is his or her friend as well?
Well, again, speaking from my own experience, my best friend was in the church, which again meant that he wasn't treated as a favourite in other people's eyes. Everybody knew that he was my friend, and we were good friends, but in my heart he was my best friend at that time. And so I don't think that if you have a good friend, a close friend, they're going to know about you anyway. They're going to discover the real you as time goes by. I mean, they may not know every temptation you have. They may not know your secret thoughts. But basically, they will know you. They will get to know you, which again is another thing about Jesus and spending 3 solid years, or maybe even 3.5 years, some theologians think, with his disciples 24 hours a day for that length of time.
Yeah.
They really knew him, and there wasn't one thing they could fault him on.
So when we, for example, as a minister or a pastor, there's a lot of things that we go through. Some things like maybe there's stuff that you hear that hurts you, that really weigh heavily on your shoulders. And having a good friend in the church that you're also pastor to, does that mean that I need to be careful on how much I open up about how I feel in terms of the things that I go through, even though the pain I might feel at different times is caused by people who are his brothers and sisters in the local church, right? Does that make sense? That's sort of what I'm thinking. Is there a boundary on how much you share with someone who could be a close or best friend in terms of how you're feeling as a minister, and how heavily some stuff weigh on your heart, but you want to protect both the identity and the dignity of people who might cause the pain, but they're all in the same church?
Yes, I do think you're right that we have to be very careful about that. I think it's a similar thing with your spouse. As I said, I didn't necessarily tell my wife every single conversation I had with somebody in the church or every single problem I had with individual people. And again, this other principle of love, acceptance and forgiveness. If I have forgiven somebody in the church who's hurt me, I should not be talking about that person to anybody because I supposedly have forgiven them.
Yeah.
So, I think that even if you've got a very close, good friend in the church, there will only be certain things that they will know about.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to burden them with stuff anyway. And you certainly don't want to put other people in a bad light.
Yeah.
And you don't want to put more problems onto them.
Yeah. And it sounds like you're also saying that also wait before you share with your close friend about what you're going through, so that you don't really directly or indirectly put someone else in a bad light or sort
right.
of edge into or drift into some gossip or judgmental attitudes. I think that's a good advice. I think all ministers need to keep in mind. You don't need to run to your closest friend in the church as soon as something happens. Take it before God, forgive, and then communicate without putting someone in a bad light. And I think that's sort of a nice sort of a balance, right, between being open to your close friend, right? In terms of a close friend, so what advice would you give to someone who, though he or she is not a minister, but is a friend of a minister? What advice would you give them in their friendship with the minister?
Well, I don't think any friendship should be exclusive. You know, no friendship should ever exclude anybody. So, you know, you could have as many friends as you like and be as close to as many people as is practical. But when a friendship becomes exclusive and excludes other people, then that's really bad and very dangerous. So in terms of somebody being a friend to a minister,
Yeah.
what advice would I give them? I think, again, they should be sensitive to the burdens that are on that person's shoulders.
Yes. Yes.
And be careful not to add to those burdens. And be aware of the pressures that they're under.
Yes.
And just try to support them, majorly in praying for them. You know, the best way to be a friend to somebody is to pray for them.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Paul. Thank you again for your insight into this very important topic of friendships that a minister has both in and outside the church. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.